Hey, Margie here. Today we're going to talk about something I'm asked about all the time, weighted vests. We're going to go over, are they safe? Are they good for our bones? How should we use them? Who shouldn't use them? And we're really going to separate the science from the hype. And I think that's so important because, as I always say, knowledge is power. So let's really see what these vests are doing, and are they something that will help us or can they hurt us? And so just before we get started, just a few things. In theory, we think about these vests that they're forces on our bones. And according to something called Wolff's law, bones respond to forces placed upon it. So you think, oh, increasing force on our bones is going to have a positive effect. But there's a lot more we have to look into. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the research. So I'm going to share my slides because I've gone through some studies that I think will really illustrate what's been going on and give us some great information. So here we go. So the first study was published in 2000, and it was done by Dr. Christine Snow from Oregon State University. And it's interesting because I was actually at a conference where she presented this, and it was called Long-Term Exercise Using Weighted Vests Prevents Hip Bone Loss in Postmenopausal Women. But a lot of conclusions were made from this. So let's really look at the study and see what they found. So it was a 9-month randomized controlled trial of high impact. So what they used weighted vests. People wear weighted vests and jumping. And the population was healthy postmenopausal women. Mean age was around 64, 18 in total. So not even a large study. And they had weighted vests and they were jumping 3 times a week, and they progressively increased the load, increased the weight of the vest. And so that was the group, and they compared that to a control group who wasn't exercising. So what they found was that the exercises increased the femoral neck bone density versus the control who lost bone density in the femoral neck. The exercise group maintained total hip bone density, and that also decreased in the control group. And lower body strength and power improved in the exercising group. So what their conclusion was that weighted vests were effective, here's the key, when combined with impact exercise. So it was never meant to say, oh, weighted vests by themselves. It was the combination of the two. So given the way the study is, we can't deduct that the weighted vests are the key. We don't know because there was not a group that did just the jumping without the weighted vest. So we can't use this to really make conclusions. They did continue this, and for 5 years, they followed up of people who were in this. And the people that continued jumping, they maintained their bone density where the control group lost it. So the conclusion here is long-term adherence to the vest plus the jumping help preserve bone density at the hip. Again, it was effective when used with the impact, the two together. So once, we can use this, and that's what it was meant when Dr. Snow presented it, that the two things together, this program improved bone density and maintained bone density. But we can't use it to say the vest by itself was effective. So let's go on. So this study was led by Dr. Clenchrew, and this was at Brock University in Ontario. And what they looked at here, it was 12 weeks, and it was a randomized exercise trial with weighted vests versus control. So there was 9 people in the exercise group, and the control group had 7. And so this also was the vest plus an exercise program that consisted of aerobics, resistance, and jumping 3 times a week, and they progressed to 15% body weight. And this was back in 2007. It was published, and they looked at bone markers. So they used the NTX, and they found there was a decrease in bone resorption. So people weren't losing bone, no change in osteocalcin, which is the bone formation marker for increasing bone. And they found that there was improvement, but only in the strength of the ankle plantar flexors, what pushes your toes down, or if you go up on your toes. And so basically, with this, again, yes, there was a little bit, like, they were looking at bone turnover, what happens. And so they saw there was a little bit reduction in the resorption marker. But once again, it was with the vest plus exercise. So we can't make a conclusion that the vest itself was responsible.
Hey, Margie here. High-quality supplements are a big part of a comprehensive osteoporosis program. To help you, I offer a significant discount every day in my supplement store through FullScript. FullScript has the most extensive catalog of professional-grade supplements and wellness products I've ever found. So all you need to do is go to tinyurl.com. That's tinyurl.com/supplements for less. And you'll get to my FullScript store, and in there, you'll see my favorite bone building supplements. So make sure to check it out, and the link will also be in the show notes. So let's get back to the show.
Let's continue. Now Dr. Greendale out of UCLA, they looked at this. Now, this to me was very interesting. So they used vests in ambulatory older adults, and they wanted to see strength, performance, and quality of life. So what they did, this was a 32-week randomized trial of daily vest wear. So people, and this is how it's used so often here. So people are wearing it during their usual daily activities. They had 44 healthy postmenopausal women, approximately in their 60s. The vest was worn 2 hours a day, 4 days a week at 3 to 5% of their body weight. And this is typically how it's used. People think, I'll put the vest on, I'll do my exercise, or I'll walk outside. And what they found was there no significant changes in the bone turnover markers. And that's what they looked at here too. Was it affecting bone? And they looked at ones that we don't use as much now. I like the CTX and the P1MP, but they use osteocalcin, DPD, and they found no improvement, no change whatsoever in the bone turnover markers between the groups. And they found no meaningful improvement in leg power or balance. So their conclusion here was this passive daily vest wear, when you just sort of throw it on, do your exercises, did not alter bone metabolism or function. Really important, because this is what everybody's so excited about, that they're going to be helping their bones. So they did not find any change. But this is also important. They did have adverse effects. Discomfort. Several participants reported mild back and shoulder discomfort when they were wearing the vest. Postural issues. Some of the subjects described upper back or shoulder aching, which is consistent with postural strain from the added load. Compliance. A few participants had to discontinue or reduce use because it was discomfort or they had balance concern. There weren't any serious injuries. So the author's notes from this is that they caution people that even low vest loads, these people were not putting heavy weights in, may cause postural stress and should be introduced gradually under supervision. And their conclusion was that daily vest wear may pose tolerance and posture challenges without improving bone or function. So I think this is really important, because we see people all over the place thinking they're helping themselves, but the research has not proven that. Now, this was interesting. This was another study that what they looked at in this study was, this was by Beavers, and basically what they wanted to see, and this was done in North Carolina through Wake Forest University. And let's just go over here, because they looked at a group of people who were losing weight. So it was a 12-month randomized controlled trial. So these were adults with obesity who were doing a weight loss program, and they wanted to see if they wore the vest, could that help them not to lose bone while they were losing weight. So it was 150 community dwelling older adults, around 70 years approximately. And here are the couple different groups. So there was a weight loss group only. They just did the diet, weight loss plus the vest. So that was a daily vest up to 10% of body weight. Then there was a weight loss plus resistance. So that was supervised 3 times a week, and a control, no weight loss. So here's what happened. All the weight loss groups did lose like 9 to 11% of their body weight. The resistance training, they significantly reduced hip bone loss. So that was the only thing that was significant. The people that were doing the weight loss plus the resistance training did have a reduction in hip bone loss. The weighted vest did not significantly reduce bone loss, though, at all. There was no change. They didn't have any significant findings, and neither approach fully prevented bone mineral density decline. So they still lost weight, but there wasn't as much. I mean, they still lost bone density, but there wasn't as much loss with the people doing resistance training. So the weighted vest, once again, did not prevent weight loss, associated bone loss. It didn't prevent that. And the key here was the only thing that did help some was the resistance training. So truly, from these studies, we cannot make conclusions that there just isn't the research to say that weighted vests by themselves are improving bone density. So this just came out in September 2025, and I think this is a great article by Osteoporosis Canada, and they have a fabulous group of researchers. One is Dr. Laura Giangregorio, who I've met several times, and it's a group who looks at exercise and research. And so they wrote this great article on weighted vests. They really looked at it from a research perspective. Are they good for bone health? So what did they come up with? They came up with exactly what I feel. Number one, the research evidence for weighted vests in improving bone mineral density is limited and inconsistent. There's limited safety data. The studies are small and short in duration. Potential risks include spinal compression and balance compromise, especially with individuals with posture or spinal issues. They don't recommend it for walking or daily wear because there isn't the research to say that. And if used, it should be supervised, short duration, and part of a structured impact-based or resistance training program only. And then other forms of strength and balance training are preferred as the first-line strategies in bone health. So I could not agree with this more. My concerns are posture and joint concerns. So people with osteoporosis have kyphosis, that rounding. Some have compression fractures they may or may not know about. And then when you add extra weight to that, it can really increase compression, any kind of fracture or any kind of issues with your spine. If we're compressing not in a great posture, we could really be doing damage to the area. Also, knee and hip stress. We know when people lose weight, their joints can feel better, or just the opposite. When they gain weight, all of a sudden their knees start hurting, their back starts hurting. The same things can happen with this weighted vest. So, and it can also may worsen posture, cause pain. If the alignment isn't good, we're aggravating different situations. And I know many years ago, I was talking to numerous physical therapists, and they agreed that people were complaining of shoulder pain. Their back was hurting. And, I've spoken to some of my colleagues who I just, who I work with on a regular basis, Dr. Sherry Betts, Dr. Claudia Tomas. They feel the same way. The load isn't enough when you're wearing it every day. It's not enough to make a difference. And there's so many negatives. I just believe when we're walking, we should be free and easy. We want the stress reduction, which is so important for our mindset, but also cortisol. Increasing cortisol, our stress hormone, that reduces bone density. So when we're outside and we're relaxing and enjoying, we want to feel lengthened and free and comfortable. When that vest is on us, that's pulling us down. It's counteracting some of the amazing benefits of being outside. So as you see, I'm not a big fan for that purpose. But when could it be useful? There are times. So as we said, during Superfly, if you wanted to add more impact to things you're doing, whether people are jumping, heel drops, whatever, you can. Again, just during your exercise session. So it's a short, structured sentence, and only in good posture, where you have enough strength and no vertebral fractures. So this is a vest that I used. It's called the Kensu, and it's really interesting because a little over a year ago, I fell off an e-bike and I fractured my scaphoid bone in my right wrist. And so I was immobilized. And here I am doing Onero. I'm doing serious heavy lifting, and everything had to stop because I couldn't I had to completely immobilize this right wrist. But what I did, so I continued my Onero, and this was the vest that Dr. Claudia Tomas had, where I do the Onero training. And so this was my savior. I have to be honest, this was the greatest thing ever because I couldn't do the weighted squats holding the bar, what I normally do. So I was able to put this vest on and really weight it. This type of vest, you can put, all sorts of weight on, both the back and the front, so that you're stable. And I was able to do my squats, lunges. I would do step ups on a higher surface. So I was able to do all sorts of things and help to maintain my gains wearing this. So I think in that situation, when you're using it safely, I always think, start with making sure someone's watching you. So I think the weighted vest can be used safely if it's part of your exercise program and you just wanted to add a little more impact. Is it necessary? No, because you can get impact other ways. I really don't. Now that my wrist is all good and healed, I don't use this. I just use weights other ways. But I'm not opposed to it. And I think that is when this could be something that really can help. So I just wanted to share this with you because I see too often, people are buying weighted vests and they're feeling I'll just wear it during the day, I'll wear it during my walk. And we want to do things that help us. We want to make sure that we are effectively stimulating our bones. And that amount of weight that we're putting on to do daily exercise, to do our daily chores isn't enough. It's not enough what we call the osteogenic load. It's not enough load to really have a difference in bone density. And I think there's so many negatives, as I said, that why do that? And I've seen, as a therapist, I've just seen too many people injured from these. So it's not, again, there are people and there are other therapists who will tell you they love the weighted vest. So it's not something, this is just my opinion. And I wanted to really delve into the research. And I looked at these studies in detail because the research, people take things from research papers. Oh, and if you look in, they'll say, oh yeah, Dr. Snow showed weighted vests, reduce bone loss and can increase bone density in the hip. No, it's not. She didn't show that. They showed that with the resistance training, and we know impact, we know jumping, we know resistance training, strength training increases bone density. That's given. So we know we can do that. And there just isn't enough research. And as I said, I love the conclusions that they came to in Osteoporosis Canada. So I wanted to share this with you because I don't think you have to run out and get a weighted vest. And I don't think it's worth it. I think enjoy your walks. And then when you do your exercise, that's when it's important. At least twice a week, do the resistance training, do the strength training. And you're going to make a big difference. I see it all the time. And that's what moves the needle. And we know this now. And I see this on a daily basis of people improving their bones through not just exercise, but this exercise is a big piece of it. And I wanted to clarify. And I hope this helps you set the record straight and you don't feel you have to run out and get that weighted vest. So I hope you enjoyed this. And if there are other topics similar to this that you want me to weigh in on, please just let me know. You can always send an email to my support team, and that's support@margiebissinger.com. And because I would love to answer your questions and really help all of you, because that's my goal. My goal is to help you move forward and do just the best that you can for your bones. And because, as I always say, and I've said during my summits, happy bones create a happy life. And I think it's so important that we do the best we can with knowledge so that we're not wasting our time and that we're doing what's most effective. So thank you so much for tuning in. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share with a friend or anyone that can benefit. And I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.